What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Doesn't Have to Make Sense channel. I am Shoky, and this is going to be a first-time reaction to the Fat Electrician. Though, technically, this is the Fat Files channel, not the Fat Electrician channel, but either way, it's still Nick doing the thing. I've been following him for a while now, ever since Dawn requested a Fat Electrician reaction on the live streams months ago. So I've been following Nick, Unsub, and now all the guys outward from there. But Nick, who is literally in school to become a historian, you know, he does do lots of history stuff from World War I, World War II. But either way, so he does very detailed histories with a hint of comedy and stuff like that. And because he is fat, beardy, and hairy, I'm very much on board with Mr. Nick here. So he's doing something very interesting this week. The most gangster beverage company on earth, Arizona tea. As someone who used to drink Arizona tea on a regular basis, either the sweet tea, the watermelon tea, or the green tea with ginseng that I used to drink as a young lad at like 99 cents or whatever the big tall cans were, which I'm pretty sure he'll get into that. I would definitely suggest, if you're remotely interested, to go check out the versions of Costco and Chick-fil-A videos that he's done, where he definitely talks about how awesome these businesses are and the histories therein that you've never known about. Occasionally he'll also rant about how chicken tax means we don't get cool small trucks from Japan. Yeah, there's that. But before we get to the actual main message, I do want to go ahead and talk about the sponsor of today's video, and it is the Shoky Patreon. Sorry, I do have to make sure. I have to reference him a little bit. But no, actually, in fact, the Shoky Patreon does pay for, well, anything I want to do. Over there, I do have 3 times a month video calls with you guys, the patrons, you know, whether that's the It Doesn't Have to Make Sense patrons, the ShokyReviews patrons, or the Night Made It Awkward patrons. Either way, it's a big podcast. We all get together, we sit down, we talk about whatever, we watch videos to react to. We've been talking a lot about certain world events, you know, political events, such and things. But either way, that does put a tiny bit of money in my pocket, whereas YouTube absolutely doesn't. YouTube loves copyright claims, and therefore that means this channel will never be properly monetized and make any actual money. So if you do want to help for at least $5 a month, you can come over to the Shoky channel and get stuff like that. You probably even get the kind of raw footage of this if I even throw this together. So either way, let's get to the actual reaction.
All right, this is easily the most requested business for me to look into.
Wow.
Today we're talking about Arizona tea, and I think the reason so many people have requested this is fairly obvious. Clearly, Arizona is up to something, selling these giant cans of tea for 99 cents, which right out of the gate feels weird, but then it gets even weirder when you...
And I was right, 99 cents.
Realize that they've been selling that same can of tea for the same exact price since 1992. Okay, inflation has gone up 124% since then, meaning that if they just wanted to maintain everything...
What? I was told it's only gone up 8%. Maybe 4% at max. What are you talking about, Nick?
That can of tea should cost at least $2.24. Okay, bear in mind, we live in a world where as of 2021, the Dollar Tree is now the $1.25 tree, okay? Yep. The only other product that is sacred is the Costco $1.50 hot dog. And to make that even kind of feasible, Costco had to go out and buy 2 hot dog making factories, and they still lose money on it, okay? The only reason Costco's staying in business is because they make so much money on all the other things they sell, they can just afford to take a loss on the hot dog, which makes the Arizona tea...
Seriously though, go watch his video. Also, Nick looking a little trimmer than usual. Also wearing sleeves. Normally Nick doesn't wear sleeves. He's usually rocking a tank top. It is what it is. But definitely go buy his merch. Also, let's see. Who is his... Is it going to be Delete Me? Who's going to be his sponsor? I'm not going to turn out the sponsored content for this because I like his sponsors, his sponsored segments, because Nick's a funny guy. Also looks like he's gotten a haircut recently. And also being a military guy in and of himself. That's why he has military stuff, gun stuff everywhere. Even a shotgun in the background there, Nick. Very nice. I got to see what's on the couch.
can absolutely insane because it's the equivalent of Costco only selling hot dogs. They have to be losing money. It doesn't even seem feasible. They're clearly up to something, and we're going to get into it right after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Rocket Money, your all-in-one finance app that's going to
Didn't expect Rocket Money.
help you cancel subscriptions, lower your monthly bills, and overall manage your money better. Rocket Money covers pretty much everything. They will let you monitor.
By the way, I will say I signed up for Delete Me because of him.
Your credit score. They help you manage your budget by letting you see all of your expenses in one easy location. And then if you want them to, they can actually go in and help negotiate a lower price on some of your bills, like your cell phone, for example. And they don't just save you money by negotiating down some of your bills, they also help you identify and cancel a bunch of subscriptions that you probably didn't even know that you had. And this is my favorite part because me and my wife, mostly my wife, has a horrible habit of signing up for free trials on apps and then forgetting to cancel them. But luckily, Rocket Money's here to let me know that I've been spending $7.99 a month every month for the past 3 years on some photo editing app that my wife used one time for an Instagram post.
Right.
Yeah, babe, what's up?
How many guns did you buy this year?
No comment. Wait, what? How do you even know I'm talking about you right now? Did you bug my office?
A, don't worry about it. B, keep my name out of your mouth.
All right. I gotta finish the ad. I gotta go. Love you. That could have went better. Anyways, if you want to take control of your finances today, go check out Rocket Money. I will have a link in the description down below. Let's get back to the video. There's a baby monitor in my office. All right, our story begins with the owner.
Which he would have baby monitors. He's got two. He has the two babies.
Of Arizona Tea, John Voltaggio. In the 1970s, he was a truck driver for an alcohol distribution service. Essentially, he was driving a truck around the city and he would deliver all the alcohol to convenience stores and gas stations, and he did that for years. After doing this for years, him and his co-worker John Farolito decided they're going to start their own distribution service. However, as I'm sure you can imagine, that's a very tough business to get into, and initially the only clients that they could get were all the convenience stores and gas stations on the sketchy part of town that nobody else wanted to deliver to, but they did it anyways. Then after they had a fairly successful distribution service, they figured, hey, we're already carrying all these different types of beverages to deliver them to all the convenience stores and we have those relationships. What if we started our own brewery and started making our own alcoholic beverage, and then we could just have one more product to be able to offer all these clients? So they did, and that was...
I mean, it's pretty feasible to just make a brewery. People do it. I frequent them. Also, I want to know what is on his shirt. It says legalize something, and it looks like a black couch, so I want to know what it is. Hopefully they'll push it near the end, talking about his merch store.
Was fairly successful also. So now that they have their own alcohol, they have to figure out how to market it. And this is where John Voltaggio really figures out how to market a product, and he looks around at all the other successful products in the alcohol market in the 1980s. And let's just call a spade here. The 1980s is the pinnacle of the sleazy advertisement era, okay? I mean, we've got Camels trying to sell children-flavored cigarettes, and we've got every alcohol company on the planet desperately trying to convince you that if you drink fucking Bud Light or Coors Light or whatever, a supermodel is going to be attracted to you and your beer gut. So John Voltaggio learning...
Says the guy who drinks Busch Light on fucking Unsub. By the way, light beer sucks. Drink a real beer.
How to market a product.
And IPAs are awesome, Nick. Get over it.
It's like, okay, step one, make it cool. Step two, have a supermodel with huge cans promote it. Easy. They then proceed to name their beer Midnight Dragon, which is the coolest fucking name for a beer I've ever heard, and this is in 2024. If you adjust for inflation, it had to have been way cooler back in the 1980s.
Hell yeah.
I mean, even today, that's a brilliant name. Imagine going over to your buddy's house, he opens up the fridge. Oh, what did you want to drink? We've got Miller Lite and Midnight Dragon. Dragon! I mean, at that point, you could literally be a Miller Lite guy, and you're still gonna try at least one Midnight Dragon. You have to. So step one, make it cool. Check. Step two.
I mean, Nick does live in Iowa, and I don't know any breweries from Iowa. There's a lot of other amazing Midwest breweries. I don't know anything that's in Iowa. And there's a lot of beer based on corn, so that's weird.
Make it sexy, right? Sex sells. I present to you their first ever advertisement, a beer poster of a model in red lingerie holding a 40 of Midnight Dragon with a straw with the caption, "I could suck on this all night." Damn! The fact that it's a 40 is just completely outrageous. Like, the notion that anyone in the history of mankind has ever been drinking a 40 while simultaneously also concerned about smearing their lipstick is just completely unhinged. Like, I need a part 2 of this beer advertisement. I know that straw doesn't reach the bottom of that 40. What happens when the straw doesn't reach anymore? Do you just throw it away and get another 40? Or are you going to be so drunk off the first 20 ounces you're not going to care about your lipstick anymore? I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Anyways, this goes on until like 1990, and John Voltaggio, while he's delivering beer one day, there's another distributor there, and he's actually dropping off a bunch of Snapple. And John Voltaggio is just like captivated by it because it's the middle of winter.
Anybody else remember the last time you had a Snapple? I don't. I know I used to drink it a little bit, probably back when I was working at Albertsons, way back when. Oh, God. I was so young. Snapple was okay, but I never caught the hype. Never really did. I was into, what is it, Taze? Something like that. There's another type of drinks, not very snappily, but somewhere between a Snapple and a fruit juice, there's this other tall, weird-looking bottle of drink, usually fruit-flavored of some sort. I like those. I drank those at the same time I was, sampling with the Arizonas. But there were definitely more. Was it Taze? I feel like it was T-A-Z-E was the name on the bottle.
Why on earth would anybody be drinking iced tea in the middle?
Me, put a picture of the thing I'm talking about on the screen if you can find it. Hey guys, future me here in the edit. I was way wrong when it came to the drink I was talking about. It's in fact Sobe or Sobe. Couldn't remember. I had to Google fruit drinks from the 2000s and it came up with Sobe. I don't know if you guys can remember any of this. But I remember loving this stuff, especially like the strawberry pinky one there. They were always lizard themed or whatever. They had one that was kind of like pina colada like. But these are really awesome. These are what I used to drink with my friends. Fairly awesome. Instead of Snapple. So also, I really wish I knew why the camera doesn't want to do really nice high def footage. It looks like crap in the edit. So sorry about that in the future. But back to Nick doing things.
Of winter. It doesn't make any sense to him, but apparently a bunch of people enjoy it, so he's like, that's it. I'm gonna start selling tea. So the first thing Don has to figure out is the proposition, right? Why would anybody drink his tea over Snapple? Snapple's already an established brand. So he starts to thinking on how he's gonna set himself different, how he's gonna set himself apart, how he's gonna be better. Now I'm just guessing, but I'm assuming at this point he refers back to all of his experience, all of his knowledge, all of the lessons that he's learned from marketing and distributing beer over the past decade. And when you distill all that knowledge down, he knows that you have to make it cool.
What does it say? Sorry, I've been looking at his shirt. I can see there's a bomb on the couch. Hold on.
All of his knowledge, all of the lessons that he's learned from marketing and distributing beer over the past decade. And when you distill...
I'm fairly certain that says legalize tax evasion. What the fuck?
All that knowledge down, he knows that you have to make it cool and you have to make it sexy, right?
Yep,
Because sex sells. The problem is, iced tea isn't exactly an adult beverage. There might be a lot of kids drinking this beverage too, and having some model with huge cans marketing it might be a little aggressive for something that children might be drinking, and then it hits him. Huge cans. We'll get rid of the model and just keep the giant cans. Okay, now like the textbook business term for this strategy is called a value.
I mean, he literally means tall boy.
Proposition. Basically, he's decided that Snapple is 16 ounces and it costs like, I don't know, $1.29, whatever it costs. He's coming in and he's like, cool, I'm gonna sell more. I'm gonna sell 23 ounce cans and I'm gonna sell it for less. I'm gonna sell it for 99 cents. That's the value proposition. You're gonna get more for less. Okay, that's what a textbook's gonna tell you, but I'm dubbing this the big can strategy, right? Because we've seen this time and time again, okay? Think about Monster Energy. Monster Energy was not the first energy drink to ever hit the market. That was Red Bull. Monster Energy just came along and was like, oh, hey, Red Bull's only selling these little 8-ounce cans of energy drinks. What if I doubled the size and sold 16-ounce cans and gave it an even cooler logo? Boom, multi-billion-dollar business right out of the gate.
I mean, the logo is so cool that Buick decided to copy it in the modern day.
And you know the kicker with that, one of the top executives that helped initially launch Monster and market it was a top-level executive at Arizona previously, so he knew exactly what he was doing with the big can strategy. In Don Voltaggio's own words, his marketing strategy is, and I quote, "Put tea in a big can and paint it pretty." Okay, if you learn nothing else from this video, just remember, people like big cans.
Did you say my name?
No, why?
You said big cans.
Yeah?
Well, that was my nickname in high school.
What?
Yeah, I didn't tell you that story?
No.
Yeah, so it all happened.
Also, I love that he automatically lowers his chair for Mrs. Electrician to come in here. Also, sorry. Not sorry. Also, I'm glad they have the mic on him, or on her, so we can hear her.
Back in 2009, I was a freshman. And
of course.
So all these boys were just like all like this my face.
Blur the image hilariously, me. Looking at Nick, looking at Nick, looking at Nick.
Sorry, what?
Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I heard all of it.
Okay.
Look, I have a similar problem, okay? I, too, am a fan of the cans. Hi, baby.
Sorry, anyways, we've got the business model. Classic value proposition, give more for less. Super simple, easy to market, great, tried and true business strategy. Next thing, what are we gonna name the company? So Don's thinking on it, he goes back home to his wife and he's looking at his house and he lives in this like Spanish colonial or sometimes referred to as Santa Fe style home.
Yeah.
And he's like, cool, I'm just gonna call it Santa Fe tea. When you think of tea, you think of hot, the desert, Santa Fe is perfect. We're gonna slap Santa Fe on the can. He does a couple of designs. The word Santa Fe just, it doesn't look right. It doesn't fit. So he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna say Arizona tea. Don's never even set foot in Arizona, but he's like, it's fine. We're just gonna call it Arizona tea. It'll be good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, next thing, gotta make the...
Indeed. I think there's a Santa Fe brewery, if I recall correctly. Because I remember it having the weird, like, Santa Fe, like, cross thing. Santa Fe? Monterey? Don't remember. It's been a long time. I've had a lot of beers in my life.
Cans cool. Don's wife volunteers. She's gonna design all the cans. Perfect. We got everything we need. So now Don and John Farolito are gonna go to the bank, get a loan, and start their tea company. The bank hates it. They think it's a horrible, stupid idea, but they reluctantly end up giving the loan anyways for a couple of reasons. One, they're already successful businessmen. They already have a ton of money and collateral. And B, sometimes you just gotta bet on the player and not the game. So the bank, while they were wrong, they ended up making the right decision and loaned them the money to get started. So 1992, Arizona tea hits the shelves for the first time and pretty much is immediately outrageously successful. And from here, it's pretty much 3 decades of Don Voltaggio being a fuck.
Also, I've never had their own Arnold Palmer. That's weird. Also, Nick totally did an episode on Liquid Death a couple months ago. Before Liquid... I don't know if it was before, but Liquid Death now has teas as well. Well, maybe that was part of it. Damn it. I might have forgotten that he actually included the Arnold Palmer part. Because, like, they had the thing, and it was a reference to Arnold Palmer. I think they got sued or got a cease and desist, so they renamed it something else. Me, in the future, go watch that and make sure if they did it in the thing.
Personal favorite, they recently came out with a new line of tea, and one of the tea flavors was obviously the classic half tea, half lemonade, known as...
Sorry, Nick. I remembered at the last second that you did do this. And the irony being... it was actually on the part where they, when I brought up the video, it was literally on the part where you were talking about the teas. That's weird. The last time I watched it, I must have paused right there. Or Google's listening. I think Google's listening. Oh well, back to Arizona.
Gangster about absolutely everything. Don wakes up one morning, decides he wants to start selling giant 1-gallon jugs of tea. He starts making the tea, takes it to the distributor. The distributor's like, hey, this is never gonna sell. At which point Don is like, cool, you're never right about anything. Go ahead and put it on the shelf anyways. We'll see what happens. Now it's in like every grocery store in America.
Fuck yeah,
he decides he wants to come out with a new flavor of tea, honey and ginseng green tea, and then he has his wife design this beautiful can. At which point he takes a bunch of criticism like, hey, men are never gonna drink that tea because it's a girly racially colored can, at which point he's like, fine, I'll just sell it to women then. Fast forward a decade later, it's their best-selling flavor and probably one of the most iconic product designs of all time, and it's all because
Skippy.
he had his wife's back like a complete badass. He would also get a bunch of shit because he wasn't doing any marketing. Like, he had no marketing department whatsoever, to the point that whenever companies or interviewers or news sources would ask, you know, hey, how big is your marketing department? He would reply, pretty big. About 6'8", in fact, referring to himself because he was the only guy that did any marketing.
That's
which
funny.
Honestly wasn't much. They weren't worried about product placements and being a Super Bowl commercial and all this other dumb shit that all the other brands do, because Don knew that he had the value proposition on his side. He knew that he was selling more tea for less, and he was putting it inside of a cool can, and the product would sell itself, and he was absolutely right. Okay, fast forward to 2008, Arizona Tea is huge. They have their own factory, everything's paid off, they're making a ton of money, they're the #1.
Oh yeah, Arizona also came in glass bottles too. I forgot about that. Look, I'm not the biggest fan. I just I know the thing. I see the thing. I've drank the thing in my life, but I forgot, okay? I really liked the watermelon, by the way. But it's even though it was a huge can, it drank way too easy, drank way too fast. You had to buy 2. And, you know, when you're a poor guy bagging groceries for God, I think I only got paid $6.50 an hour or something. It was ridiculous how little money I got paid back then.
Ready-to-drink tea brand in the country. At this point, the company is worth over $1 billion, and John Farolito, who over the past decade has become more and more of a quiet partner as Don just kind of took everything over and John just got to, you know, reap the rewards, he comes out and he's like, hey, we could literally sell this company and make billions of dollars and just be retired billionaires that wake up and do whatever the fuck we want all day, every day.
True.
We should sell the company. To which Don was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not selling this company because if I sell this company, what are my sons gonna do? Both his sons were his top-level executives with him, literally his right and left-hand man, and he knew that if he sold out, he wasn't gonna get to hang out with his sons because every single day, Don Voltaggio has a 2-hour family-style lunch with both of his sons and his wife inside of his big-ass office in his factory. Okay, just so we're all on the same page, Don Voltaggio could have cashed out and been a billionaire with a fucking B and said, nah, I'd rather hang out with my kids. Go fuck yourself. That is the most gangster thing I think I've ever heard in my entire life. Imagine how his sons feel about him after that.
The dude already has a fucking gangster name.
You know what I mean? Imagine going to work with your brother and your dad all day, every day, knowing that the only reason that you're there right now was because your dad got offered to be a billionaire. Basically a king or an emperor of capitalism in America, essentially. Your dad could have just been the guy doing whatever he wanted for the rest of his life. But no, he decided he was gonna have your back instead, and now you get this awesome job with your family. It's dad goals to a degree that I didn't even know existed. So this obviously leads to a little bit of a falling out.
So Nick's going to be training his kids how to make history videos in the future so that they can take over the Fat Electrician channel. Although I guess technically they're going to have to be electricians first. Do they have to inherit all of the things you do or just the thing that made you the money? So I guess in theory, Nick probably made more money as an electrician, and then the YouTube is probably helping out a lot now. Check out Pepperbox.
Between Don and John. John obviously wants to sell. He wants to take his money and run, which kind of understandable. So he's like, you know what? Fine. Don, you keep your half of the company. I'm going to take my half and I'm going to go sell it to some investment firm or something, and I'm going to get my money and I'm going to retire. To which John Voltaggio is like, no, you're not. Absolutely not. You are not about to sell half of my company to some investment firm that's going to want to take it public, and then an army of MBAs is going to march in here and try to tell me how to run my business that I built from the ground up when none of them have accomplished anything at all. Okay, I'm worried about taking care of my employees and my family and putting a lot of tea in pretty cans, and these MBAs are gonna march in here and they're gonna be worried about one thing, and that's getting a return on their investment, which is a fancy way of saying they're trying to make money for doing fucking nothing. So Don and John go to court and battle it out for the next 8 years. They reach a confidential agreement outside of court. Nobody knows what it was. Nobody knows the terms. Nobody really knows what happened. All we know is that John got paid out $1 billion, and now Don Voltaggio owns 100% of Arizona Tea. MSRP as of 2015.
Hell
So
yeah.
clearly, they just paid out $1 billion. It's been 23 years. They have to raise the price of the tea, right? Absolutely not. Don is 100% against it, and he's going to do anything and everything he can to not raise the price of the 99-cent can. What on earth could his reasoning possibly be? You know, I'm just going to let him tell you.
Why not increase the price and therefore increase the profit?
We're successful. We're debt-free. We own everything. Why have people who are having a hard time paying their rent have to pay more for our drink? Maybe it's my little way to give back.
This dude's just a complete gangster. I don't know what else to tell.
Look, that's just the fucking truth right there. For them to basically just say, like, look, we're making money. We've always made money. Everybody else is raising their prices because there's 6 ways to Sunday we owe money to other people to keep the business afloat. He owns it outright. He owns all the stuff outright. So fuck it. We're just gonna keep the prices where we go. Now, in theory, has anything else happened behind the scenes? I don't know. You know, usually when businesses are trying to keep prices remotely fair, but they can't do anything on the retail end of it. But I mean, if they're self-distributing and then everything else like that, I guess it can stay about as cheap as it can. But I know a lot of I know a lot of businesses that, you know, especially like breweries who will self-distribute, but even over time, all the ingredients, everything becomes pricier. So even if you are selling directly to customer at a discounted price because you don't have to sell it to a store and then go 6 way to Sunday, having to sell through other people to sell your stuff to get a dime on your own product. But also, if you do any self-distribution, you can save some money. Whereas a lot of people will definitely fall into the idea of, I'm going to sell my distribution rights to get a whole lot of capital up front. But then you kind of lose out a little bit later on, depending on if you're good at the business. Just depending. So, but yeah, I guess if they own enough of everything along the way of how their product is made, they can afford to just take the actual hit on it. Realistically, although I would wonder how the taxes work on that. You know, it's like, but I guess if they've had employees for like 20 plus years, they don't have to like hire new people or whatever. I don't know how it works. There's got to be something behind the scenes that may or may not be unfortunate on how they can save some money as this goes. I don't know, but so far sounds like a great deal.
Tell you, that dude literally has woken up every day for the past 3 decades and just told inflation to go fuck itself. He's literally the only multi-billion-dollar CEO that came out and was like, you know what? I'll just make less money. That is completely unprecedented.
Oh, I guess there was always that. Just don't pay yourself. It's like, well, I've already got a fuckload of money in the bank. I own everything. I don't owe money to anyone, really. I can just live off my investments and live off interest on my own shit and just keep the money low and pay my people like normal and just not pay me.
Okay, like, I love capitalism. I think it is the greatest system that humans have ever come up with. That being said, it's got a ton of shortcomings, and it would be so much better if everybody acted like that. Buh. This is all a complete lie because last time I saw one at the gas station, it was over $1. Buh. Yeah, that does happen. That's actually the local store that you're at marking the price up higher than MSRP. Arizona Tea still sells their product below $1 and recommends that they sell it for 99 cents. If other companies raise it more than that, Arizona can't really do anything about it. So yeah, if you're not picking up...
That is actually the problem, is that on the end run, they still had to pay for the product at whatever price. Inflation affects the end retailer as well, so the retailer probably has to mark it up, but technically Arizona's not taking an increase in the profits to adjust for inflation. They sell it at the same price, but unfortunately on the other end, it's got to go up.
What I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that your local convenience store is scalping tea. It's the world we live in. So other than Dawn,
still cheaper than the inflation on Cokes. It's like I had this discussion not that long ago where, like, you used to be able to get 2 20-ounce Cokes for $2 at some point, or it was like $1.75 for like a regular one, or $1.50 for one, and then you buy 2, you get 2 for $2, and then it went up to $2.50, $3.50 at Walgreens. I know, not the best example. At Walgreens, two 20-ounce Cokes for $4.50. And people want to try to tell you that inflation is not happening. It's like I've literally watched the cost of a stupid 20-ounce Pepsi, Coke, Dr. Pepper, whatever, more than double. More than double. Yeah. But if Arizona is still at a reasonable price, drink that instead of the horrible, Cokes that I've just been talking about. I had a cherry Pepsi earlier, and it was awesome.
Being willing to just make less money, buy a smaller yacht, if you will. What else is Arizona Tea doing to cut costs to maintain this price point? Over time, they've done quite...
You know what, Nick? How dare you come in and answer all the things I was talking about earlier and said I didn't have the answer for? How dare you?
A few different things, one of which is they actually changed from selling 23-ounce cans to 22-ounce cans. And the reason they did that wasn't by selling, one less ounce of tea is going to save us all this money. They didn't really give a shit about the tea itself. What they did was they went to the can manufacturer and said, hey, we want you to make our cans thinner and use 40% less aluminum so that we save a bunch of money on the raw material end. So they actually ended up making...
Actually, that's pretty fucking brilliant. Hold on. I want to see... who
manufacturer and
I can't actually read it.
Said, hey, we want you to make our cans thinner and use 40% less aluminum so that we save a bunch of money on the raw material end. So they actually ended up making the can a tiny bit smaller and then making it significantly thinner all the way around and having a different top so that they could save a bunch of money on the can itself. In addition to that, they also figured they could save a bunch of money on fuel by not delivering their tea during the day to all the different stores. All their trucks run exclusively at night. Okay, just so we're all on the same page, just so we're all hearing.
That's some damn good logistics right there. It's hot during the day, traffic sucks, using more fuel. Send the trucks at night.
What I'm saying, in order for Arizona Tea to maintain their cheap price point for the rest of us, they're also going to make us suffer by reducing the amount of traffic. This might be my favorite company on the planet. They need to add that to the marketing, honestly. Big cans, pretty, there's less fucking traffic, okay? It's a trifecta. Okay, do you understand how crazy that is? Like, before, they were just...
That's a different perspective, Nick, because realistically, they offset the traffic to nighttime. When would you rather have more traffic? During the day, when you don't really care, or at night when you're trying to get home from the bar?
Saving you money. But now, in order to keep saving you money, they're also being forced to save you time, okay? It violates the laws of physics somehow. It has to.
Damn, Neil deGrasse Tyson! How are you doing that?
It's physics, Terry. It's physics.
This is my new favorite company, okay? I don't even drink Arizona Tea. I'm starting today. Okay, that's it. That's all I got. I thought for sure Arizona Tea was gonna be up to something like every other company I look into, but no, they're not up to anything nefarious. They're not secretly being funded by the government. It's just Don Voltaggio, the owner, woke up every day for 30 years and decided to be a fucking badass. When they told him his 1-gallon jug of tea idea was dumb and it wasn't gonna work, he said, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and sell it anyways, and it worked. He believed in himself. When his wife designed this awesome can and they said nobody's gonna buy it because it's girly, he said, cool, I'm gonna sell it anyways. He believed in his wife and he was a good husband. When it came time to sell out, retire, and be a billionaire, he said, but then I'm not gonna get to hang out with my sons. He had his kids back. He was a good dad. And when the time came to raise prices because everybody else was doing it, he said, nah, I don't need to make more money, I'll just make less. He was a good person. And despite all of that, despite the fact that he did everything wrong and he put money last as the business owner and the guy running the show, he still ended up being a billionaire worth over $6 billion.
Jesus.
And more importantly, he gets to have lunch with both of his boys every single day, which is something I don't think any other billionaire can say. And in a lot of ways, that probably makes him the richest man on earth. So in my opinion, that's the key to Arizona Tea's success. Don't chase the money, chase the goal. The money will come after. Even if the goal is something as simple as putting a lot of tea in a big can and making it pretty. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play with some big cans of my own. Anna! What are you doing?
Nice. Very nice there, Nick. All right. So, Also, the Starbucks one, I did not know that Starbucks was basically the world's largest unregulated bank. Seriously, go watch the Fat Files. Very informative. You'll learn things you really never knew. I know somebody who worked for Chick-fil-A as a manager, and like he confirmed a lot of the things Nick said about Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So either way, go check out the Fat Electrician or the Fat Files, as this channel is. Also, if you're remotely interested in watching four dudes get kind of drunk, if not very drunk, and talking about history, military stuff, pop culture, or just random nonsense to try to annoy Cody, go check out the Unsubscribed podcast. But if you're also a fan of similar things, but me and my friend Jeff, you can check out the Now You Made It Awkward podcast, which comes out on Friday mornings. And the full uncut video version of that is over on the Patreon. I mentioned that earlier. And, of course, I do actually have a merch store. I just never push it. So it's all in the link down below. So if you're remotely interested in that. Also, I've been watching some Houston Jones videos. Yeah. If you want to watch a very muscular man get injured a lot, maybe I'll throw out some reactions to that. This is the first time I've done a reaction to something in a while, but I didn't want to have this stuck in the middle of a live stream, so I wanted to check this out here and then put it out for you people to watch like a normal video. I know it's weird. It's not a 2-hour live stream. It's a 30-some-odd minute regular thing. It's weird how an 18-minute video reaction turns into 30-plus minutes, huh? Editing. Either way, I'll see you guys later. Remember, as always, it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be loud. Shoky out. That's a really stupid outro. It doesn't work for everything. No, it doesn't always work for everything.